Making a purchase order for a service. Before watching this video, please watch the Creating a Basic Purchase Order video, so this one makes sense. I will only talk about what's different between making a purchase order for goods and one for a service, based on what we know as of early February 2019. Making a purchase order for a service is similar to making a purchase order for goods. There are just a few small but critical differences that this video will cover. Note that this video might not apply entirely to a service purchased through a contract, such as for recurring janitorial services. See the video about linking a contract or LPA to your purchase for more information. The first difference between a goods and service purchase, and one of the biggest, is that CAL FIRE 93 forms have not gone away. Although Fiscal replaces the Standard 65, which is a statewide form, the CAL FIRE 93 is a CAL FIRE specific form. Fiscal does not replace any of our department-specific policies. You must begin your CAL FIRE 93 when you begin planning your purchase. Sign it and have an approver sign it. Then scan it for attaching to your purchase order with as much information on it as you can get. When you reach the receiving or reconciliation process, you will then scan and upload the final and complete form with all the signatures, including the contractor's signature. Then save the original paper copy of your 93 in your vendor file. A new version of the CAL FIRE 93 form has been produced. Download it by going to the CAL FIRE intranet, library, issuance forms, CAL FIRE tab, and scroll down until you find the 93 service order in Word and Excel format. The form fields on the new 93 have changed to allow for Fiscal coding. You must use this new and updated version of the form. Additionally, you must attach a current CAL FIRE 20 form to your purchase order. These forms must be renewed annually, and that hasn't changed. For every single purchase order, however, you must attach the 20 for your supplier. The other differences between a goods purchase and a service have to do with how you fill out your purchase order in Fiscal. I'll show you an example. Here is a pre-Fiscal 93 for the repair of a bulldozer, with its multi-page invoice, paid receipt, and an automotive repair estimate sheet. You can see this is our old version of the 93 that has fields for the CalSTAR coding here at the bottom, not Fiscal coding. I've started my purchase order in Fiscal already. Much of it will be the same as when you're doing a goods purchase, but I'll point out the differences when you're doing a purchase of a service. Because this is a service, acquisition type, if I can get Fiscal to respond, will be non-IT services. With this selection, you will see an acquisition subtype field appears. You must put an entry in it. Many people have noted that these subtypes are not very applicable to CAL FIRE. There has been some talk of getting new ones in here, but until that time, if you don't see a type that looks more appropriate to your purchase, just choose Personal Services. Your acquisition method, header details, and purchase order defaults are done the same as if this were a goods purchase. I'll enter fair and reasonable in this case. You still click yes and then no in the pop-up for car reportable. And here, under your comments and attachments link, you will put your justification, checking this box, just as you would always do. You will not need a second page here for the general provisions verbiage because that's only for goods. You will, however, click this plus to get another page where you will upload your CAL FIRE 93 using the Attach button, and a third page where you will upload your CAL FIRE 20, also using your Attach button. If you have anything else, like an estimate or bid sheet or a prior approval form, keep clicking this plus until you're able to upload all of them, along with a brief description about what it is that's attached to this particular page. Then click OK. You may wonder about this Add Reportable Attachment link, but if you go in here, you'll see that before you can upload, you must choose what kind of attachment you're putting on here. And the CAL FIRE 93 and 20 are not one of your options. This might be important for other attachments, but not either of those. Just put them under your ordinary Comments and Attachments link. The rest is pretty same, except for the itemization. Here on our 93s, we write a detailed description of the work to be performed. Although this invoice is several pages long and it lists every part the vendor bought and each step they did, just as with the 93, we do not have to itemize all that. Besides, under normal circumstances, you'll be making this purchase order before your purchase, so you wouldn't even have the invoice yet. The vendor doesn't know exactly what's wrong with the bulldozer yet, what parts he'll need, or how long it will take to fix. He doesn't know any of that information, and even if he did, he probably can't yet provide a list like this to you. So for your purchase order, just as with the 93, for any service, not just this example, write one line of itemization here and describe the work to be done. You do not need to itemize anything else here. If that makes you uneasy, you can click on this speech bubble and leave a more detailed comment explaining that this line item includes the parts, the tax on the parts, the shipping on the parts, the labor, whatever you think is going to be included in the price. That brings up another consideration. If the vendor doesn't know exactly what's wrong with the bulldozer yet, how does he or you know how much it will cost to fix? How can you confidently enter an amount here in the price? If you're not confident what this service, whatever it may be, will cost, overestimate a little and put that amount in. In this case, the vendor has provided an estimate sheet. He thinks it will be around $14,000. Of course, here we can see it ended up being over $17,000. But I might make an estimate here on my purchase order. Maybe I'll say, I think it will cost $15,000. Then go to the Attributes tab. Change the physical nature from Goods to Services and check Amount Only. Fiscal will think and give you a pop-up and say, hey, I'm going to recalculate stuff. Do you want this? Just say yes. Then you can go back to the Details tab. You will see that your purchase order quantity is now grayed out so that you can't change it. For unit of measurement, you can use LO for lot, and of course you'll need your category code. So using this Attributes tab and the Amount Only checkbox changes the purchase from one based on quantities of discrete items to one based on a dollar amount for an entire service rendered. When you do the receiving or reconciliation process, you will report the actual cost of the service. Now, ideally, the service cost will come in under your estimate. If the service ends up being over the cost you estimate here on your purchase order, it's not the end of the world. You will just have to do a change order, which I'll talk about in another video. A change order is not especially difficult, but your purchase order must then be approved and dispatched again before you can receive or reconcile your purchase in Fiscal. In my example here, I estimated $15,000, but it came in over $17,000, so I would have to go back and do a change order to this purchase order, adjusting the price, have it approved, dispatch it, and then go and reconcile or receive it in Fiscal. If, however, you got lucky, you estimated $15,000 and it came in as $14,000, everything is fine. Except after you've reconciled or received your purchase, there will be some unspent money remaining in your purchase order. Let Unit Finance know to go and close that purchase order. Then that extra money that you didn't spend will be released back into the budget so that someone else can spend the money. For the rest of this purchase order, you will do the same as you would with a goods purchase. You'll go into your schedule icon and your chart fields distribution icon. Make sure your coding is how you put it in the PO defaults box or enter it here under this icon. Also, make sure you check that tax is not being applied to your purchase, because services don't have tax, even though some of the parts the vendor's buying might have tax. It's all in one lot, so tax doesn't need to be applied separately here. Make sure this says item is exempt. If Fiscal is stubborn about adjusting the tax back on the main page, which sometimes it does, you can click Calculate SUT and also Refresh, and that will tell Fiscal, hey, look at what I just did, please apply it. Then you can click OK, go back to the main page, and make sure that here under Account Summary, it is telling you that it's applying 0 freight, tax, and miscellaneous charges, and the total is still what you entered here in the price. That's all for the differences when you're making a service purchase order instead of a goods purchase order. Dispatching is the same for both. The receiving and reconciling process are also similar for both and will be covered in a different video.